What is happening, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let's go ahead and jump straight into the topic. We're going to be talking about this Van Gogh collaboration with the Van Gogh Museum and Pokemon Co. International. We're going to be talking about this gray felt hat Pikachu. This card really defines, I feel like, 2023, 2024. I feel like, if anything, 2023, but I feel like this card is going to be talked about for a very long time. Just because, one, it's just the release was crazy and probably the most hectic release we've had in a very long time. But two, it really is a pretty iconic looking card. All value aside, I'm somebody that really loves this card. Beyond what the sale prices are. And I've been very adamant about the fact that they're going to print this card into the ground and that it would be very available and that not to worry about it. And Special Delivery Charizard is another great example of special release promos that kind of tanked and dumped afterwards. It's crazy. This card was the most hyped up, talked about card for, I feel like, weeks, if not maybe even months. And it was the most relevant thing in the hobby, and now it's essentially gone irrelevant. And, you know, sometimes I want to talk about this card and bring it up just because it's an easy topic to talk about, but also because the price movement is fascinating. Before I do that, I do want to point out that, I had been talking about battle styles a couple days ago, and wouldn't you know it, pretty much a day after that video is uploaded, we see a PokeRev video opening up battle styles, and we see then shortly after a CTR video opening up battle styles. I'm not saying that I have anything to do with that and just talking about it and saying that I want to start a big position in it, but what I am saying is clearly it's still a relevant set. It's highly coincidental that they would open that set. One of pretty much the, more lackluster sets of Sword and Shield, but still better than the other options that are doing very well in price. So anyways, yeah, that was pretty exciting, and hopefully Battle Styles gets a little more popular. I'm hoping that set does well in the long term. But anyways, yeah, I was just happy to see that. It was kind of validating to see those guys, the goats of the opening portion of this hobby opening up battle styles. That was pretty cool. They didn't get anything really, but it was still cool to see. Also, it reminded me in PokeRev's opening that the Empoleon full art, I think Empoleon is now becoming a favorite of mine. I really like the Empoleon. I think that's becoming a favorite of mine. Kind of want that alt art now. Anyways, let's keep talking about this. This card in a PSA 10 was worth over $1,000 not too long ago. A couple months back, this card was worth over $1,000. Now, that was in a graded PSA 10, a gem mint grade, but still, the population of this card is around 17,000. It might be some change over 17,000, but it's around 17,000. That is a ton of PSA 10s. I believe that is the PSA 10 population, not just the graded population, but the PSA 10 population. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm no expert on all things Pokemon and collectibles, but tried to do some background research on this before I dove back into it. It's just fun to check back up on this Pikachu and see how it's doing. Now, I got these with my order from Pokemon Center. I got 2 copies. Just liked the card a lot. I wanted to see if I could get 2 copies. This was just a card that my family, coming from a family of artists, this was a card that I felt like I had to have because it's really one of the only cards that combined the artist and the personality and the art style, the little hat that, Van Gogh has, being on the Pikachu, it's super iconic to me. This card right now, you could pretty much get raw, in my opinion, for probably $70. I had been saying for a long time that I would not buy this card unless it was like $50 or less, maybe even less than that. And the reason being was just because I think, your order on Pokemon Center had to be somewhere around that area. I think it had to be like $30 to $50. I can't even remember at this point, but I always thought that was the bottom of this card, just because that's what it took for a lot of people to get this card in their collection, was buying at least $50 worth of stuff on Pokemon Center. So I think that's the bottom. Already we're seeing that $75, $80 price point. Now, why am I saying that? I haven't seen a lot of raw sales, okay? Everybody and their mother has been grading this card, okay? I did see one raw, well, I saw one in the cellophane pack. I saw one copy sell for $50, and that was the lowest. That was the lowest sale I think I've seen so far on the Pikachu with gray felt hat. I think that's the lowest sale I've seen so far, and I don't even know if that was a legit card. Okay, Rattle had touched up on this. There are a lot of fakes of these out there circulating, so there is that too. It is kind of nice to be able to buy a PSA 9 for $85, $90 right now. You can buy a PSA 9 for $85, $90. It's encapsulated. That costs $15 in itself. So you take that off the $90 and you get a $75 raw card, which honestly isn't that bad. It's already been graded. It's been protected. It's still pretty much mint condition, but it might have a tiny little white dot or a little nick here and there from Pokemon Center shipping it, or, you know, it being slightly off center. I do kind of want to grade mine, but also there's not a whole lot of reason to spend money on grading mine, considering the fact that, one, the graded price of a PSA 10 has plummeted, absolutely plummeted. PSA 10s are now $200, $190. That price will probably come down even more. As more of these get graded, that price could potentially come down to like $120 to $150 area, I think, which at that price for a PSA 10, I think it would be a cool buy just because it is a historical card in the hobby. And man, when this card came out, people thought that this card was just going to go absolutely to the moon and never return. And honestly, it was baffling to me then, just because of how many of these got printed and distributed. But, you know, looking at the card now, I don't know. It's super iconic. It gives me all the feels and vibes of like the craziness that ensued when this card released. So when this card released, and I've talked about this several times on the channel, but just an update for anybody that doesn't know what this card is or what the release was like. Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, I believe, did a release, and you could fill out quiz stuff. And then at the end of walking around the museum, which would have been really, really cool to have that experience to go do. But at the end of it, you could get, you know, a promotional item, whether it was like a tote bag or posters or the cards. And as you can imagine, everybody was fumbling over the cards to a point where eventually the museum got overflowed with scalpers, people just trying to grab the card. Some people, it looks like, just stealing the card. People just grabbing as many copies, whatever they could fill their hands with. Pretty much like one of the darker times in the hobby. Definitely disappointing to see that kind of behavior. Does it surprise me at all? No, not at all. People are greedy and people want to make money, and that's a lot of what this hobby has become lately, greed and money. And so you had the perfect culmination of those bad traits of this hobby and people doing that and all kind of clamoring to get this card, to a point where it should have really just been boycotted. Like, no one should have wanted this card after that happened. But that kind of drove people to want this card even more. Then Pokemon Center did an awesome move. They released it on Pokemon Center, and then I think they re-released it on Pokemon Center again, or they were going to, but they canceled. But then they released it in the Netherlands, which is, I'm pretty sure, Van Gogh's origin. You know, that's where he was from, so, which rightfully so. So all those people were able to get those copies. So there's a ton of copies that were released in Europe, a ton of copies released in the US. So there's a lot of these out there still circulating. So I expect pop numbers to go up. I expect prices to come down. I think that it's probably a good time to buy this card raw, but if you want to wait a little bit longer, I wouldn't blame you. But yeah, it's just, the release of this card was insane. And this card was, people were just steadily making content about it, myself included. And so I bring this card up again because it's just kind of crazy that there was a time where this was $1,000 plus. and now it's a fifth of that. There are people out there that bought this card for $1,000 that lost basically 80% of their money. This is where gambling and, very high risk taking comes into play with Pokemon, and it is just, it's fundamentally a part of Pokemon, right? Opening every pack of cards is a gamble, so Pokemon has gambling interwoven into it. And that's kind of what's nice about playing the actual card game, is that it kind of detaches you from all the drama and all of the bad, negative stuff that's happening in the hobby, which really is more attributed to collectors, myself included, people that are buying stuff for resale, buying it to collect, buying it for an investment, whatever. That's arguably made the hobby a lot worse, and it is what it is. It's going to continue. It's going to probably get even worse from here. We're seeing cards getting manipulated and inflated. Temporal forces, we've been talking a lot about that. Morty's Conviction, the Ghastly, the Iron Crown, all these cards are getting pumped to the moon right now, and I don't think it's sustainable. I think people are going to lose their butts on it. So even though this is kind of irrelevant right now, it's relevant because history does repeat itself in this hobby, and we see people being really irresponsible with their money. Again, myself included. I buy into stuff all the time without taking enough time, like Astral Radiance recently. I'm okay to admit when I made a mistake or when I did something and didn't think enough about it. Now, it doesn't make a difference because I still am not able to get Astral Radiance. I tried again today. I was not able to check out on Pokemon Center getting anything that I wanted. And guys, it's not a payment thing. It's not a technical error on my part, okay? I literally just got cases a week ago, problem-free, got them delivered like 2 days after. It was great. It was very streamlined. It was very fast. It was very reliable. I got my confirmation email, but this time around, I haven't been able to close out anything. I don't know if that's because I bought a certain number of boxes and they kind of keep tabs on profiles. I don't know. So I've been asking all my friends, like, if you do an order, let me know if it went through. Let me know if you got a case. Let me know if it was just a couple boxes. And maybe I can try something else. My mom's texting me right now about some family stuff. What else? Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the hobby, a lot of FOMO, right? I was talking about FOMOing into stuff. I'm okay to admit when I made a mistake, so I wasn't able to check out on Astral. I bought boxes for 170, 180 area a couple days ago. So, well, yeah. By the time this video is out, probably a week ago. But I'm willing to admit if I made a mistake. I still don't think I made a mistake in the long term. I think that this stuff is going to go up in value. I think that even though there's been a restock on Pokemon Center, it's not going to last long. I said that in the previous video talking about Astral Radiance. I don't think Brilliant Stars, Lost Origin, or Astral Radiance. I know that there's a ton of supply out there, but there's also now... there's also a dynamic of people wanting to sit and hold these boxes right now. People know that this is a sweet spot and that they could sell for sure. They could definitely sell and take a profit now. It might even be the smart thing to do because these prices could trace back down. Once people realize how abundant this product is out there, booster box prices could really come down. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Is it possible? Yes. You have to understand your risks when getting into this stuff. You have to understand everything that's entailed with getting into this stuff, the taxes. If you are reselling booster boxes, should you maybe become a business, a sole proprietor, an LLC? Hopefully this is okay, but Catch 'em All Collectibles reached out to me and was talking to me about, like, if you're doing this, if you want to get serious about it, and shout out to you for that because it was helpful information, and I am thinking about it more as a legitimate business now and thinking, okay, what are the next steps where I have to sign up so that I can properly record everything, pay taxes on it, have a business out of it, and make everything official, and also be able to keep track of everything on paper. So that is something that I will probably be doing moving forward, but that's something that you guys should also think about if you're moving forward with booster boxes and investing in this stuff. Just be careful and definitely try and figure out, like, is everything that comes with investing and buying and selling and holding, is it all worth it in the long run for you, or are there better opportunities for you out there? This guy right here is a solid reminder that, sometimes things are really hot, sometimes they're really relevant, and everybody's talking about it. And then the next minute, it's irrelevant and nobody cares about it. And people are really losing their butts on investing in these things that become really hot, that are really hyped up, that people FOMO into. So the same thing can be applied to all the booster box buying lately, and all the singles lately. Full transparency, I'm still going to be buying booster boxes. I'm still going to be investing and adding to my collection. This is something that I set out to do in the beginning, but I got sidetracked with all of my personal collection goals. But I am going to be getting back into collecting sealed boxes because I think there will always be a market for those down the road. But with everything happening in the world, elections, Israel, the economy, the housing market, interest rates, there is a lot more going on that needs to be addressed, that we could be talking about, that could directly or indirectly affect Pokemon, affect this hobby, affect sales, affect, people's businesses. If we see an economic downturn, I mean, none of this stuff is going to be nearly as valuable. People are not going to be preaching to invest this way. And that is a concern that I have, especially because I am also now upping the ante. I'm adding more sealed products. I am really taking on way more risk than I should be. But I do believe in the process. I trust the process, but I'm also very skeptical, and I can be a cynic sometimes. And I always want to put that out there and keep it in mind, because if things don't work out, I'll at least be able to say, hey, I was slightly skeptical through the entire process. And if they do work out, I'll say, well, great. I figured they would work out in the long term, but I also went in with, with some skepticism and just being very cautious of what the outcome might be of sitting on a bunch of sealed product. But anyways, yeah, if you guys have anything you want to mention about the Van Gogh Pikachu, another friend of mine also let me know that Pokemon Center restocked their Van Gogh Pikachu merch, which is awesome because I really want a poster. So I'll probably go on there and grab a poster if it even lets me check out. But yeah, anyways, little update on this guy. Let me know what you guys think. Is this a card that you would think maybe would be a good thing to stock up in raw copies and just buy a couple copies of this card raw? Is there potential that it could go up in value down the road, and that this is a really good opportunity as populations are rising? It's kind of like it's catching a falling knife, okay? If we're thinking of traditional investing, right now, Van Gogh Pikachu is a falling knife. It is headed straight down, and it might be leveling out around $70, $80, $90, PSA 9 mint copy going for $80 to $90, but it could come down much lower to a point where it's like $40, $50 for a raw copy that's still sealed. Okay. If that happens, I do think that's a moment where I like this card enough where I would potentially consider buying a couple copies of this card and put my money where my mouth is. If it became $30-$40 and I could get 10 copies for $300, that's something I would probably consider. If I ever see this card at conventions and people are just trying to offload it and sell it for $20-$30, it's a card I would probably buy as long as it was sealed and it didn't have any creases or bends. Centering, a little whitening on the edges, I wouldn't care. This card is super iconic to me personally, and I love my copies so much, and I still feel grateful that I was able to get this card during all the hype. That made it that much more special, but I still think it's a very special card. Could it have been holo? Yes, it would have looked a lot better holo, but I'm almost more appreciative of it as a non-holo. And that's kind of happening with my Gold Star Espeon. I'm like, it's a really expensive non-holo card, but I'm slowly but surely starting to appreciate it more. I feel like that card with a purple graded guard, a purple or pink graded guard would look really, really sick. So, and I feel like I'm going to feel the same way after I get Umbreon and have it for a while. You know, the Umbreon Gold Star is a non-holo as well, but that card would look sick in like a black graded guard. That card would look awesome. Anyways, hope you guys have a great day. Let me know what you think. And peace. Is $200 for a PSA 10 Van Gogh Pikachu the bottom, or is it going to trend lower? All right, peace out, guys.